Hello and welcome to Express Mobility. Today we have a very special guest, Mr. Manu Saale, MD and CEO of Mercedes Research and Development India. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much, Dipanshu. Thanks for having me.
So first of all, I would like to understand what is the Mercedes Research and Development India's role in achieving overall Mercedes plan to go all electric by 2030 and shaping the future of luxurious and efficient mobility?
A great question to begin with. Thanks a lot for that. Dipanshu, we've established this R&D center in India, headquartered in Bangalore, with an office in Pune as well, since 1996. So we just celebrated 25 years now, being in India and engineering out of India for Mercedes. It is the largest R&D center and IT center for Mercedes outside of Germany, right? We have a lot of hubs, some digital, some R&D, but the largest one by size and meanwhile by depth has been India for quite some time now. So I'm going to extend your question a little bit to more than electric, because when I say and start this introduction by kind of giving you an image of the size of the operations here and the depth of the operations here, you basically know that the India office and the engineers out of India are contributing virtually to every facet of vehicle development. Electric for sure, we'll talk about it a little more in detail, but also towards the other areas of disruptions that all of us are watching excitedly in the automotive industry. There's a lot of discussions and contribution out of India for connectivity and connected cars. There's a lot of engineers that are contributing towards automated driving, which is the next most exciting thing that the auto industry is offering. There's discussions around electric and simply the digital transformation that's going on in industry within the areas of product development is also something that the India Center focuses on. So the teams at Bangalore and Pune are contributing virtually end-to-end in various ways to the entire facet of vehicle development.
Okay. So as you mentioned about, our engineering team is, focusing on the entire facets of the development of a vehicle. I would like to know your opinion on the electric mobility, because that's the one technology that is overpowering the other technologies right now. And in this digital and sustainable age, can you give some more insights on the development of the Vision EQXX?
Right, we'll talk about electric mobility and then come to this EQXX as a showpiece right now that's just demonstrated to the world how much we can push limits of technology and what we can achieve out of that.
Right.
Let's start with the discussions around sustainability and electric mobility itself in general. I think climate change is in front of us. We've all been discussing that at various forums. Governments and regulators are talking about it actively. And companies, certainly auto companies like ours, are keen to contribute to make a difference, especially towards the global discussions around climate change in general. We started these discussions long ago with our first offerings, coming out of the world of internal combustion engines, offering hybrids and electric. And to keep it very simple, as a car company, we've been discussing about having an equivalent electric model to an internal combustion variant that we offer at the beginning. Yeah. Soon we came in and said, we'll do electric first and then follow up. And very recently, very boldly as well, we went and said electric only as a portfolio. And if that tells you a lot about the commitment from the company towards sustainable carbon neutral mobility in all forms.
Right.
So in markets that really allow and support electric mobility, which is quite a significant part of the world,
right,
already in the next 2 years, you will see electric only versions of Mercedes that are being launched. And offering customers a choice to go in for clean mobility in many ways. Electric, of course, is making the most, like you said, the most telling impact right now there. Automated driving is still at the L2, L3 level. We are one of the first OEMs that really got a permission to do that on public roads recently. Since last week, it's even on offer for buying. You can buy an L2 Plus system in Germany. It's called Drive Pilot. I had the pleasure of driving it 2 weeks ago in Stuttgart myself. The first time, I did more than 100 kilometers in an L2 Plus car, and can tell you it's very exciting to sit in a car like that. But coming back, there's a lot of still, dependence on technology and infrastructure when it comes to automated driving. Markets are just getting prepared for it. And you rightly said it, electric, let's say, is the forerunner when it comes to disruptions. If we get a little bit on the charging infrastructure around markets and countries right, and the whole connected solutions around it that people need, roaming, digital payments, charging when you charge your car, and how do you pay for it, and stuff like this. I really think that electric mobility is here to stay, and it's going to make a huge difference to the volumes that we sell around the world, especially to customers, discerning customers who are willing to go that mile. Last but not the least, Dipanshu, there's been a commitment towards carbon neutral mobility by 2030. So Mercedes says not only from the fleet that we sell, but also from the manufacturing processes that go behind it, from the materials that are chosen in designing of the cars. It's going to be an end-to-end sustainability discussion within the company. So our new strategy statement actually has sustainability as the guiding principle. So the first steps towards this are already taken, right? The EQC, the EQS that was launched, the EQS SUV that's going to debut soon also around the world, are all examples of going electric only with our portfolio, as we are kind of engineering our last internal combustion engines. That's number one. There, of course, technical challenges are many. The world is working still with batteries, battery chemistry, solid state batteries, what you can actually pack as energy per square into this power pack, number one. Charging is a completely different game. You obviously want to, kind of go to a public infrastructure and spend the least amount of time charging your car. So we have to immediately kind of come up with fast charging solutions. You need to take care of range anxiety with people who want to use their electric cars to go intra-city.
Right.
Can't restrict them only within the city. And of course, the entire dependence on the grid, on third-party charge point operators, on how you pay for it, all of that, markets are just about getting ready.
Right.
It is in this context, Dipanshu, that we really wanted to push technology to see what it can do for us. And that's when the EQXX was born as a concept. I'm sure you've read about the press that went completely ballistic with the achievements, the engineering feat that EQXX pulled off. We did Stuttgart to the south of France, a good 1,000 kilometers with a single charge. And when we arrived at our destination, we still had some juice left in the battery, about 140 kilometers of juice still left in the battery. Absolutely normal conditions. I've been part of the team, seen the videos. They've encountered regular traffic, had to stop at signs, took the highway, had other traffic to encounter, including traffic jams, inclement weather conditions. A bit of rain on the highway that was naturally encountered. Despite all of these challenges, the EQXX really did 1,000 kilometers on a single charge. Has some fantastic technology packed into it right now. And Dipanshu, we're also happy because the Bengaluru engineers contributed as well in the form of simulations and techniques to EQXX. So I'm hoping that that we can bring this car and showcase it in India at some point of time soon. But right now, it's making news all over. And there's a lot of things that we've learned that can come into production cars eventually out of this.
That's great. That's great. In one part of the world, people are also talking about hydrogen, is one of the potential fuels. And while one part of the world is talking about electric, and there is a whole debate, which fuel, which energy will overpower or where the future lies. What is your opinion, Manu, on this? Because being you on the research side, how do you see the future?
I think the Mercedes strategy has been quite clear. We've invested heavily on battery technology. We believe the future is going to be there. There's still a lot of innovations that are coming out of the battery technology itself, both cell chemistry, but also the way the battery is managed, the state of charge is managed, the way you charge your battery, the way you smartly use it, the way you recharge it, all of that. I think we're very confident that this technology is here to stay. And you can see us completely invested in that, not only in terms of coming out with electric cars, but also if you kind of read up about our investments, to the battery itself as a component. You'll see us, regularly announcing new tie-ups, new investments in different companies that are helping us to kind of conquer the battery chemistry better. So that's the way we are going.
Okay. I would like to understand your viewpoint, what role of, next generation digital technologies is driving in the automotive industry?
Well, there are two ways we're looking at cameras and vision, if that's what you meant. One of them is, of course, to perceive the outside world. And if you have to replace the driver and come up with, completely one-to-one replacement of a kind of a free driving scenario with automated driving, you would depend heavily not just on the radars and the lidars that are nearly part of the standard paraphernalia meanwhile for automated driving, but also on a very, very good camera that is kind of sensing the world for you, replacing, let's say, the driver's eyes, if you may, partly the software behind taking over the logic as well. So there's a telling role, there's a definitive role that the camera is going to play, looking at the environment, sensing what it's seeing, not only for deciding how automated driving should work, but also probably kind of communicating back to the cloud and telling what it sees, so that the common cloud infrastructure could basically help the rest of the traffic as well on a certain route. So there's a lot of work that's going on the cameras. The stretch that I drove 2 weeks ago from Stuttgart to our test track in Emmendingen, and certainly I saw the role the camera plays in keeping the lane and switching to the next lane, in kind of deciding what's ahead of it, and kind of making decisions based on that. So vision-based systems are here to stay. They're going to replace our eyes in some way, to just keep it simple for you. And the compute power behind is going to take away the logic to decide what to do with what you see, right? I'm keeping it really simple now. On the other hand, we have a second use case that we debuted with our GLC, the interior camera, right? Vision again, but for making more intuitive decisions within the car. When you go buy a Mercedes, you kind of already opted for luxury, and you'd like to have it as intuitive, responding to you as possible. 3 years ago already, we debuted our first gesture control systems within the GLC. You can also find it in the cars in India, the GLCs that we sell. If you actually gesture within the car, either to a switch or to the boot or to the co-driver's glove compartment, to a certain knob or buttons in the car, depending on the use case that's built into the car, the internal camera senses your movement, and the chips behind and the software within, the neural networks within, kind of take over the intelligence to decide on what you may have been pointing to, and kind of, without you necessarily pushing buttons, kind of help you take action. So today, if you reach out to a glove compartment, and if it's dark outside, the lights automatically come on because the camera sensed you want to open the glove compartment. You would otherwise look out for a light switch because it's dark outside, and the camera is helping you do that. While this is kind of the first 4 or 5 basic use cases that have come in, we believe that when you have more cameras inside, today you have one in the front, when the rear seat camera as well comes in and you turn it into a stereo camera, you basically can sense all 4 occupants in the car and can react very intuitively, depending on whether you have a kid on the back seat, a pet on the back seat, whether you have an elderly one, a shorter one, a lengthier one, depending on the inmates in the car. There's so many intuitive functions that we can come up with, making your drive that much more enjoyable. So vision, both within the car and outside the car, Dipanshu, are going to play a definitive role in the features that we offer to our customers.
I would like to further understand on the digital technologies, how they're going to play an important role in impacting the auto industry. And are there any upcoming future trends in the automotive research and development areas?
Well, let me answer your question in 2 or 3 parts. First of all, for the mechanical engineers who may watch our show eventually, although we're talking a lot about software and the role that software is set to play in the industry, at Mercedes-Benz, we have an equally exciting, kind of branch of mechanical engineering that's impacted by digital technologies. Dipanshu, the reliance on CAD methods coming out of CAE, the simulations that we run within the company, or simply put, for the engineers out there, crashing developmental timelines, delaying prototypes, saving money and time on testing because of the reliance on stable digital methods is certainly a way where product development is headed. The availability of new tools, simply the kind of availability of new talent, numerical mathematical methods around us is helping us kind of get there faster. So exciting times with digital for mechanical engineers and product developers, first, number one. The second part of my answer, which most computer science and electronics engineers out there would love to hear, the role of software itself within car development. We've come in a long way from the world of mechatronics and ECUs, control units that kind of helped us with fuel injection or with transmission. We all know that there are more than 100 ECUs in the most advanced cars today. Certainly on an S-Class, for example, you will find so many electronic control units and thousands of lines of code that help you control so many things. While that's been a standard, we're going and moving into a world where user-defined features and kind of refreshed features in the car, fresh ups in the car will be software-defined. It's a little bit like your mobile phone, right? You take it home and you're able to install a new app. You can subscribe to some more if it's a paid app and get some features, and the hardware is already supporting it. The car, its head unit and its ECUs are moving in that direction, right? So there's a second section of engineering that are relying on core software methods. And at some point during this discussion, we will talk about MB.OS, the operating system that we are developing, set to debut in 2024. An operating system around which an auto operating system, a Mercedes specific one, around which ecosystem players are invited to participate with apps, both user dependent and subscribable apps. That's going to kind of bring a fresh up to the car now and then. That's the second and probably the more exciting part that the world is kind of looking at, because it's directly impacting the end customer who's sitting in the car. The third arm of digital technology that's kind of also strongly making a presence felt is the one that's based outside of the car. Dipanshu, I'm talking about cloud and data and the whole piece around analytics and understanding driving behavior, customer behavior, and to be able to kind of use that either for better development or simply to help the customer in situations. So if it's navigation and traffic, data, two-way communication, if your car is able to communicate its health and status back into the cloud, that it's ready for service and books an appointment. There are just so many things that we can do with the IT outside of the car as well. So there are at least these three very exciting areas that are already impacting the car. With the EQXX and with some of these gesture-based technologies that we debuted, we also kind of touched upon areas that are going beyond this as well, right? The EQXX had to rely on neuromorphic computing already, and we're kind of researching what role that can play tomorrow in series. The role of AI, especially with so many edge devices that are available, is just about beginning, right? You could put intelligence and networks straight into the car and not rely on connected cars alone to make smarter decisions. So that's like an upcoming force right now in digital that's also going to play a role. I told you when we started this call that you're going to hear me excited about the whole development scheme around where this industry is headed. I hope you can sense it, because in all fronts, from product to software to customer to out-car IT, there's just a lot of great stuff that's going on.
So much is happening at your end and on the research side of things. How does the future of mobility look like? If we talk about from a holistic point of view, not just from the luxury car point of view, how does the future of mobility looks like? It will be autonomous, electric, how about connected, all come together, how it will be?
Well, I think that's the music that that should play out there. All the three together: connected, autonomous, electric. At some point, we were also discussing shared mobility until COVID hit us and people started to prefer private mobility in some form, but I still think there's a scope to discuss about how people really want to go from point A to point B. And at the end, whether it's medical devices at home, it's the smartphone and all the payments and apps that you consume, entertainment that you consume, Dipanshu, technology is here to make life simpler for all of us. And talking about mobility, if you want to take the dread out of driving and want to do it from point A to point B in luxury or not, you just have to have time back in your hands because your car is kind of automated driving. I really think technology is going to make life simpler. And today, it's the three dots that you mentioned: connected, autonomous, and electric. There could be a fourth and a fifth that come in. And the sense of how much time an end user is going to get in an automated car is simply kind of giving us so many ideas of what you can do in the car. You could turn it into a car office. You could have a meeting in there. If you had the right screen and the right digital tools connected, you could have entertainment if you're going on a family holiday and driving out from city A to city B. And you have all the time in your hands because the car is driving itself and negotiating the highway traffic. You probably just need a bigger screen and a nice streaming service to be able to do what you want to do, right? So I think all of these technologies are getting there to make life simpler and make driving a completely different experience in the years ahead.
Yeah, very exciting. While we look into the future, and see, these kind of vehicles on the road, there is other part of this is the talent. How we reach to that destination where we can see all these technologies playing in their important role. So what is your view on the Indian engineering talent, and how they are contributing, because you have been actively working from India for the global brand. What is your view, how we can bridge the gap from the academia to the industry? What's your view on that?
I'm totally excited about doing this out of India. I've been kind of championing this for many, many years now. One of the reasons why the center in India is growing, not only for us, I get to meet a lot of industry colleagues who are also having great stories to narrate actually about what their India center did to headquarters, to the product, understanding remote customers, and to be able to deliver. I really think, I'm an optimist. I'm also very positive from attitude. So I've seen a lot of changes, improvements over the last more than 2 decades that I've been part of this journey. We continue to rely on academia in India to produce talent like it is doing. You know this as good as I do. The demography of this country is a big plus today in the world, right? We're one of those young, large nations that are able to solve the world's problems, if I may, right? And if in every company, you kind of have an opportunity to solve your own product-related problems, I think India is set to play a stellar role eventually in product design and solving some of the biggest problems the world is facing. And I'm sure you've met a lot on your show itself who narrate such stories, right? Coming back, I think the fact that product development has gone with so much reliance of digital gives India and Indian engineers a great opportunity. It's a door opener, actually, in many ways. We've talked about IT and the role that IT and its success played in India, starting from the 90s. I'm also part of the NASSCOM's ER&D Council, and we are excited because engineering R&D is set to now kind of follow IT with a success story of its own, right? I'm talking automotive, but I also have industry colleagues from other industries and branches that are part of NASSCOM that share equal excitement in terms of what the India team is able to deliver to the world. Over time, we've also seen that, academia has changed quite a lot. There'll always be a gap, because, these technologies are really cutting edge and we're getting there. But I think over 2 decades, the industry is also kind of used to kind of bridging that gap going ahead. I'm not saying it's all perfect and nice, but there's a steady improvement, both in terms of how much academia is catching up, the number of engineers we do find, good engineers we find, and the fact that the industry is also kind of jumping ahead in terms of what technology it uses in its products. I'm totally upbeat about this. And I can see it, right? It's reflecting in numbers, it's reflecting in business. We have experienced the US so much. We've seen Europe a lot in terms of engineering R&D. We've been exposed to East Europe and have seen what is possible there. We have seen China and some great talent in China that are right now kind of locked to the region and are supporting product development in China. And then there's India with 1.3 billion people, with a million graduates coming out, English speaking, eager, age-wise, very, very energetic and passionate to solve some of these issues. So I'm very optimistic that that we are here to in fact solve many more such engineering and product related challenges in the years to come.
That's great. That's great. What are your plans for hiring in India? Would you like to share on that side?
Well, we just recently been speaking to a lot of your colleagues as well in the press, and sharing excitedly the plans that we have for R&D and IT in India. Like I told you, whatever I said now and the whole optimism should reflect in numbers. So our reliance on Indian engineers is only increasing. It was some years ago that a very supportive, forward-looking international board member of ours said something. He was here visiting us. He saw the contributions out of India, and he said, "There's a bit of India already today in every Mercedes, right?" And I'm excited to take that to the next level sooner than later, and hopefully get them to say that there's a large part of India in every Mercedes. So this comes with numbers behind. Right now, the excitement is about digital transformation, about digital product development, and most importantly, around MB.OS, the operating system that we are trying to develop. We've been adding a lot of people in the last years. In 22, we have plans already, and it's underway. I mean, half the year is nearly behind us. We have plans to add more than 1,500 people to this center again, mostly from the software, computer science background, who can help us deliver next level technologies. And the plans for 23 are being shored up, and they look equally good.
Great, that's great. One question I want to understand about from the policy and from the research side, both, policies in India are not very conducive for luxury cars. They have high excise duty, custom duties, and how do you see that? And what level of localization we can do in India, so then from the supplier side, so that we can, get those exciting cars to in the hands of the young buyers and the people who want to aspire to buy these cars?
But we're actually excited about our segment in India. I think we're decoding luxury in India itself it's a very country specific thing. We've seen us successfully master that challenge in China, and are excited to present today's products, but also our upcoming electric portfolio and so on in India to people. There's been a lot of movement, Dipanshu, when it comes to electric in India, with charge point operators, with people, aggregators who want to work on it, with people who want to kind of collect digital payment services around charging, all of that. I think we'll get there very soon. Most importantly, I really think that we'll appeal to the customers in India with our, let's say, commitment to sustainability and to make sustainable products. I think there's the discerning Mercedes customer out there, existing one or potential ones, that really want to go in for luxury carbon neutral mobility. So we've believed that luxury and sustainability can go hand in hand, and that will be our effort in India too, going ahead. And that's very, very good vibes. We can share something with you offline. Tanuja can get in touch with our team in Pune, marketing and sales colleagues, and share some excitement with you offline as well. But we are very confident that we'll also be kind of successful in India as well.
All right. Thank you so much for joining in today. It was nice interacting you. A lot of insights on the future tech of car and luxury car manufacturers. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dipanshu. I hope I was able to convey some excitement back to you. Thank you so much.